Keller Williams. There we go.
I
Thank you.
got it.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Um, all right. So personal branding has been a journey for me, and I didn't realize its importance until I think it's been 2 years now. I was sitting at a Keller Williams convention called Family Reunion, and Rory Vaden was one of the speakers. And he was talking about how important it is to brand yourself, not just the company that you work for. Um, but having a personal brand is your network is your net worth. And while I was sitting there, I had realized that I've sold a lot of real estate. And now, in my role as a team leader, part of my job is to help grow the market center by helping our top agents perform better and become more profitable. The other part of my role is to attract talent to our market center. And my last year in sales was my best year. I'd sold over 41 homes from the comfort of my couch. It was during COVID, so I wasn't even allowed to go to closings. And my eye-opening moment was sitting in that class going, oh my gosh, all those co-brokes that I closed with that year probably don't even remember who I am. I was just a name on a contract. I was just a couple of phone calls, and then closing happened in a car in a parking lot, and the agents weren't allowed to attend. And I thought, oh my gosh, I need to make sure that people know who I am and what I'm doing. In fact, there were times where I would cold call agents that I had co-broked with previously. Not only did they have my name in their phone still as Brittany Shakespeare, they thought that I was still a buyer's agent on the Dave Hook team. So new career, new husband later, and I realized that I had a lot of work to do. So I joined Brand Builders Group. It's Rory Vaden's coaching group. And I went through their branding DNA process. I do believe that branding is kind of a way of therapy. So because you really get to learn about who you really are and who you're best to serve. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I warned you, I'm going to go back one more slide. I warned you this is very interactive. This is very workshop style. Feel free to collaborate because it really does take that level of collaboration to help you hone in on what you're going to represent. This quick QR code here is how you can follow and connect with me everywhere from social media, the Central PA Women's Mastermind Facebook group, all the things that I offer you can find through that QR code. Rory Vaden says your brand is your reputation. So oftentimes people think that our brand is our colors. We think it's our font. We think it's our logo. We tend to think that our brand is sometimes even what we wear. And although that's fun, and it's fun to make sure that you look consistent in all of your marketing materials, really your brand is who your reputation, and your reputation is what people think of when they think of you. So I want you to just reflect for a minute. What do you think people think of when they think of you? And does that match what you want them to think? So is who you want, like what reputation you want to have, does that match the reputation that you actually have? And sometimes there is a disconnect. So like in my story, there was a disconnect of a lot of people thought I was still in sales, actively selling real estate. But now I was a team leader and I wanted to be known. My new tagline is, and we'll kind of get more into this but my new tagline is I want to help agents scale without the burnout. But at the time, a lot of people didn't know that. Let's open up mics. Any thoughts so far, like any ahas as you're reflecting on your brand and the current reputation versus the reputation you want to have?
I was just thinking that it's interesting that it requires seeking inwardly Instead of like, you think about your brand and you think about, man, it's what I do, it's how my business functions, and it doesn't start there. It morphs into that, but it starts with self. And I think that that's a really hard thing for people in the service industry, is that like, I am what I do. And yes, you are, but it actually, to prevent the burnout, has to seek inward to make sure you're doing the things that are in alignment with you. And that, I think, is how you identify what your brand is.
I love that. Yeah, it's definitely, like I mentioned, it felt like counseling, because I had to go really deep to get clear on who I am and who I'm best able to serve. And because oftentimes in sales, we will portray ourselves as somebody that we think we need to be.
Mhm.
And then we burn out because we're out of alignment, because we're not being ourselves. So I love that. The three main questions that we're going to work on today, because you are most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were, is we're going to dig deep on what problem do you solve for people? Who is that avatar? So who are you going to serve? And what's your uniqueness? So a lot of us on this call are in real estate. There's 2,000 licensed realtors in the Greater Harrisburg Association of Realtors. So out of those 2,000, why is someone in the Cumberland County, Dauphin County, Franklin County area going to choose to work with you over somebody else? And oftentimes that is just because of who you are as a person. All right, so we're going to jump right in. The first thing that we want to figure out is, what problem do we solve? So, and this is where you're going to need more work than just today's call, but this is to get you really brainstorming around the topic. What problem did the old version of you struggle with? What's something that held you back? Another great way to look at this is, what problem do people come to me to help with? Like, what problem do they just naturally have? And then they're like, oh, I'm going to call Adrienne. She would be great to talk this problem over. I also love this question because I tend to be very passionate, and it's, what makes me angry? So when I see an agent doing all the things, they're peeling, chipping paint off of windowsills, and they're posting how they're shampooing carpets, and they're doing their own paperwork. And I literally will feel myself get angry, because I'm like, no, you should not be doing those things. You should be hiring those things out. Um, that's why you're so stressed out all the time, because you're not leveraging other people and tasks. So what just burns your biscuits? And then what one word could sum all of that up? If you could choose just one word. Oftentimes we think of sentences, and that's okay. Start there. But if you could, and I put mine at one point because I just was really struggling. I put like all my brain dump thoughts into ChatGPT around this, and then ChatGPT gave me a pretty good list. And then from there, I narrowed down. Does anybody want to share? Doesn't have to be the one word, but what's coming to mind right now as you brainstorm around what problem you solve? Erica,
So the problem I solve is debt.
I love that. Tell us more.
So the person that you once were, the best person, your best position to serve the person you once were. I had to go through that myself. So and similarly to your journey, I work with builders as well. So we were able to get deep with that. And I thought it was something totally different. So the overarching is finding a financial wholeness, but from the emotional side, the side of things. And the root problem is debt. So I'm helping people resolve the debt mentality that they have, so they can learn how to wait for what matters.
I love that. And it's so much more than real estate.
It's so much more than real estate. Yeah.
Yeah, real estate's just your vehicle to
Yeah.
help you help people with that problem.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, ladies.
All the little hearts. I didn't even know that was a thing. I love it. Anybody else want to share what's kind of coming to mind right now? Adrienne said I could pick on her, so I'm going to pick on her.
Yeah, well, first of all, I do want to just, heart and shout out to Erica because I've been following, her Facebook posts and stuff on, yeah, just how to get smart with money and have been appreciating the wisdom that she's been sharing and the resources.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think, Brittany, I was reflecting on the question you asked about like what do people think of you, right? What, like when they think of you, what's that one word? And so I think I want to I like to be a helper, and I think I am a helper, and I hope that when people think of me, like that's the word that resonates with them. And then, as you and I are on this leadership journey together, and you shepherd me, like I feel like how do I help people at a deeper level, and then how do I scale that help, right? Like how can I do it more efficiently and reach the masses? Like, yeah, that's where I'm
I
at.
love that. Well, hopefully this helps you then today.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
Love it. And let me just go back real quick. So my one word, just so everybody, just so I can kind of share from experience with Erica going through this journey. My one word was fear. And it took me a while to really come up with that because there was like certain parts of my story and I could not figure out how they all correlated. And what we realized was that each time my problem that was constantly holding me back was fear. And then I had to take action to get over that fear. And my avatar tends to also struggle with fear because believe it or not, people are very fearful of success. And they're fearful of the work that it takes to be able to not have to be constantly reacting to life. So my one word is fear. Ooh, so who you once were is who you're most likely to best serve. So some journal prompts around here is, who was I 5 to 10 years ago? And I always love this question because it does show you just how far you've come. But who were you 5 to 10 years ago? And what were you struggling with? What was something that was a roadblock that you just kept hitting this wall that was preventing you from being the best version of yourself? And what transformation did you go through to overcome that? Who did you have to become to get past, to be more than your struggle? And one thing that I love that Rory says is, he goes, people often ask the wrong question. They ask, what is my purpose? Like we all want to know what is our purpose in life? What you should be asking is, who can you serve? Anybody want to share? Do I need to go first? I'm trying not to go first.
Well, so I'm trying not to just take over. So that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Violet, take over.
No, I don't want to. I'm sitting, I'm learning.
We're like, I'm here to learn. So I will start this time. So 5 years ago, nope. So we'll say 7 years ago, I was married and I was not in a healthy relationship. So my ex-husband is still, unfortunately, to this day, a struggling alcoholic. And I didn't realize how bad it was at that point, if I'm very honest with you, but I did realize that I was not able to live the life that I wanted to live, nor was I able to live the life that I wanted my children to live. So my struggle was, well, how do I do this on my own? There was so much fear on leaving that situation because I just didn't know how was I going to do it financially. I don't think I understood what resources there were out there. So at that point, the transformation that I had to go through was I knew I needed to make more money. Like, just that's what I had to do. And so I chose real estate as the vehicle to make that happen. And I jumped in like head first, left a solid 9 to 5 with benefits, health insurance, 401k, the whole shebang, to go into real estate so that I could make more money. And sure enough, I did. And I was able to leave, and, take care of my kids and I on my own. So that's one part of my journey. And then the next part of my journey is when I first got into real estate, you don't know what you don't know. And so I knew that that situation I was in was not going to help me be successful. So I had to find the right place to help me scale and have leverage and not feel like I was throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing if it stuck. And so both times that I went through that transformation, I would have a fear of, well, I'm afraid to leave my current broker because he gives me leads. And I'm afraid of what if it's not, the grass isn't greener on the other side. And I had to burn the ships, and I joined the Dave Hook team and I went all in. So both times I had to overcome fear. And that's why I feel like I am best positioned to serve people that have to go through a transformation, which oftentimes means leaving their current brokerage to join our brokerage so that way we can give them the systems to then scale. And it's also why I have this passion project of Women's Mastermind, because I want to make sure that women can be financially independent so they can stay in relationship for love, not financial necessity. But both of them have to overcome fear, to be able to do that. What's everybody thinking? I see Amy doing like, I don't know. Oh, Heather.
So, I was just gonna share, so like 10 years ago, I was still in banking. And at a point where I wanted to make a transition, but I had the fear of not knowing anything else but banking. Because I did that for 21 years. And my kids they were in high school, so the other side of leaving, I was in a space where I could come and go as I needed to. So I had to be able to be there for them. I allowed the fear of that changing, have me stay there. One of my clients there actually got me a job outside of banking. So I was able to leave. I went and did medical insurance for a Medicare contractor for 3 years. And while I was doing that, Amy was in my ear because she was the listing agent for my husband and brother-in-law flipping houses. So it took me a year and a half to get my license, but then I got my license and burned the ships. And I'm not the type to not have a backup plan.
No, you're not.
So to not have that consistent income coming in is not my personality type to not have that. So yeah, but it's been great so far. And then coming here and just surrounding myself with the right people, the right support system has helped me to grow in ways that I never thought. So like Taryn said, she got her letter from Bold. I got mine yesterday too. And I read it, I'm like, oh, those are fun goals. And you're being more consistent and you're taking more action, but you did not accomplish any of the numbers that you thought you were going to. But I'm still in a better place than I was last year. So
Amen.
yeah.
Amen.
There you go. Yeah.
And now you're going to business planning clinic, right? So you can make realistic yet big goals for yourself for next year.
Well, so it's on the to-dos for next year because business planning is on the same day as my workshop. So I have one this week and then I have one next week. So yeah.
You could always just leave business planning clinic early.
No.
We'll get back. I'll be seeing you later.
Right?
I am in Sales Rocket.
There's
I'm
no
in
Sales
Sales
Rocket.
I will be doing Sales
All
Rocket.
right. That's good. Good, good,
Yep.
good.
But it's on the list for next year. It isn't.
Yeah.
Anybody else on who you once were?
I listen to Rory all the time, and I know he always says you're most powerfully positioned to serve the person you once were. But I struggle to figure out, like, as this pertains to like the career that I have in real estate, you know, I do find that like people end up coming to me who are single moms or recently divorced or some of those situations, though I don't want that to be my like identity forever, you know. And I
Yeah.
know it won't. And I know it won't, but the one word situation there really just challenges me. I'm like, how do you put all this together? I think I do need to consult with Brand Builders Group just to get a little more clarity on that. I mean, I know who I am and I know what I like to do, but I don't know how that works with who I was and all that stuff. So how do you like, if you were to do, I think the exercise you said, like, what would people say about you? Maybe
Yes.
it's like important to ask some people because it's easy enough to guess what people might say. But like Adrian, when you said helper, or I'm sorry, when you said helper, right? The word that came to my mind for you before you said helper was partner. And I think it's even like deeper than help. It's like coming alongside and like walking together through something. So I was like, oh, I love that. Like some people's words seem easy for me, but mine is not. So I think getting some clarity when things seem a little confusing would be amazing.
Yeah, I think next team meeting, that we're all in the same room. We do like, put the paper on the person's back and everyone goes around and writes the one word. Like helps us really get in tune with
Yeah.
what do others think. Yeah. Terry, you can come join us too. You can come.
Yes, you're always welcome to come visit
You can
anytime.
come. We'll do a piece of
Thank
paper for you too. Yes, we'll do paper for you too, Terry.
Yeah, and I think, I had to do that. So that's why I said, like, it's so hard to do this in just one setting. This is like giving you the questions to reflect on. And there's times where I've changed it. And I've gone back and forth between the words intentional and community for myself. But I did. I emailed a couple people. I made a couple of phone calls and just was like, hey, like, this is what I'm working on. So just give me your full honest opinion. Like if you had to pick one word when you think of me, what would you say? And that just helped me narrow down, is it what I want them to think? And then, like you said, Taryn, like, I don't want to be known as the single mom forever. So how did I overcome that? And it was based on the content that I put out. So getting clear on your personal brand and what you want it to be versus what it is will help you kind of redirect people's thought. It's kind of like training. The more they see your videos, the more they'll associate you with what you want them to. So it's okay if there is a disconnect. Then you want to come up with your uniqueness. So it's the problem that you solve and how you help people overcome that. So this is where Rory will use the examples of like Jamie Kern Lima. Her one word is worthy. And Brene Brown talks a lot about shame or vulnerability. Our keynote speaker, Amber Sessoms for Women's Mastermind, her one word is authenticity. So if you could carry it down to one word, what would it be? So some journaling prompts are, what quality carried me through my transformation? What value, like if you're thinking about core values, what value do you want your brand to be aligned with? And again, if people described you at your absolute best in one word, what would that be? And that's where, for me, we came up with intentional, because I'm very like, if you look at a lot of the content I put out, systems and processes in real estate helps you be intentional. So you can get more work done, but not have to work nights and weekends all the time. Minimalism for me is actually very much more about energy management and also a wealth building strategy because I'm not wasting my money on things. So that's my way of living an intentional lifestyle that feeds my whole purpose. The other part that I, often share is my story and going through divorce. Like I had to make very intentional decisions to take the reins back for my life so that way I could get to the next level and stop living in a way that was just reactionary. So that's why my word is like, if you're just intentional with everything that you do, you can succeed so much faster. Anybody else want to share? What words are coming to mind?
Yeah, so the word that I would like everyone when they see me is or be known for is delayed gratification for me. But how people see me, they see me as their biggest cheerleader. Like I'm always rooting for someone to be to evolve into the best version of themselves.
Mhm.
And how I came up with that is my just asked my daughters and some close friends of mine, like, what do you think of me? What do you think of? And they say that after speaking with me, they feel as though that they can accomplish anything, right? So I truly enjoy that because that's true. That is truly who I am. I'm going to be the world's biggest cheerleader. And I'm cheering for those that struggle with debt from the perspective of there's an emotional aspect to it. So teaching them or providing them the tools necessary to understand how to delay gratification, right? And wait for truly what matters is the core essence of what I want people to know me for.
I love that. One word that comes to my mind when I think of you, Erica, is excellence,
Mm,
because you want people to perform at their best so they can be their best. Like and I think you appreciate that a lot. So just throwing that out there, with that whole like helping people overcome debt, like it's about becoming the best version of themselves, which
mhm.
and then I think of like excellence.
Yeah. I think one of the things that what was profound to me going through this whole process was I'm no longer afraid of detracting the type of person that doesn't align with what the value that I have to offer and vice versa, right? There was a point where I had this fear of loss, right? And I learned through this whole process, you can't have that fear of loss because one door shut is another door that's going to be open, right? So just know that you have the confidence in understanding that the person that you're building community with is out there, right? You just may have to find a whole new community, but you can't have the fear to create it.
Yes. Yes. And I see it all the time. Like when agents, choose to come work with KW, they have to be willing to go through the fear and become intentional. And not everybody's going to want to do that. And I just have to be okay with it.
That's right.
This is one of my favorite ones, which is avatar clarity. So once you get really clear on like who you want to serve, or who you're best suited to serve, you really can get clear on what does that person look like, feel like, what do they fear, what do they want? And the reason why that's important is so you can create content that they'll want to watch and read. So whether it's social media videos, whether it's the postcard that you're putting in the mail to farm to a neighborhood, flyers, seminars that you're holding, I'm trying to think what else, just captions you're writing, any type of marketing, you want to make sure that your avatar, who you're best suited to serve, is going to pick up that piece of marketing and read it or watch it. So asking yourselves questions on thinking of your avatar, what do they want most? What are they afraid of? So if you're thinking about real estate, and maybe you're thinking of maybe your avatar is a growing family and they've outgrown their first home and now they need to upsize. Their fear might be, how do I buy and sell at the same time and not become homeless? So then your marketing is going to help answer those fears. You're going to speak to those fears. And this is like when you're sitting at church and you go, oh my gosh, I feel like the pastor just read my diary. He is speaking to me. Who told him? You want your avatar to feel the exact same way when they watch your content. Like, man, how did Taryn know? I was just thinking this the other day. You can do that when you're really clear on who your avatar is. Thinking about things like what keeps them up at night. And then also on a more positive note, what are they dreaming of? What are they hopeful for? This is where in real estate, we do have to be careful because obviously at the end, I'm giving you a workbook to work through and help you get really deep on this topic. And it will ask like, what's typical age range? Just remember, this is just for you to get clear on who you're speaking to in your marketing. Please don't post, I help 35 to 45-year-olds with families upsize. That would be a big old fair housing violation. And we don't want to do that, but it's just so you can get clear on who you're speaking to in your marketing. That's behind the scenes. And they say it's helpful to name them. And it's funny because I don't have a name for my avatar yet, but whenever I film a video, I am thinking of one person. Like I can literally picture them in my mind. Oftentimes it's recent consultations that I've had, and I'm like, man, if I was just sending this video directly to this person, what would I tell them? And that's how I film my videos. So that's how I do it. Does any thoughts come to mind as you're looking at these journaling prompts? Taryn, I know you've done some work around this and I see it coming through in your social media. So you're doing something right because I can see it.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. This part is not as much of a struggle for me as the other part feels like. And since we're all, I think everyone on this call is a real estate agent, right? Or in real estate
Yes.
somehow, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh, except for Doreen, but she's with Grit and Goals magazine.
oh, okay. I'm sorry. Then I won't ask a specific question. I can save it. But I guess like a lot of us are salespeople and our words, like maybe Erica's word debt, maybe that works alongside her real estate business and she helps people get to a place where they can build generational wealth, and that is like the path for her. Whereas I think some of us, like maybe how you transition from real estate sales into essentially like coaching real estate agents in some capacity, and then even coaching other people. But I think I'm just curious how you don't, the one thing I would not want to do, and I try to be careful of, is not distracting from like my main, like people, Donald Miller in StoryBrand talks about people have to be able to know what you do in one thought, like 1 second. If you do multiple things, they can't figure out who you are and where to classify you. So it's like the caveman test, like, who are you? And, I can, like most people, I think we do easily classify, and it would be cool to just, in fact, I'll just send each of you guys what I think the word that comes to my mind for you, if I know you, like if you're on this call and I know you, just because I think it would be neat to hear. But how do you do that? Like, I'm a real estate agent. Yeah, Doreen, that is a good book. It's such a good one. But as a real estate agent, if my word is something like I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even want to say what I think it is. But what if it's not parallel to real estate?
I think that's completely okay because real estate is the vehicle that fuels your passion.
Okay.
So it's just what you do to make, it's just how you make money, but you can help people through that vehicle with whatever you're passionate about. Are you comfortable giving us like what you're kind of thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a word whatsoever, but I know that I like to help people get like unstuck mentally, like they're hung up on some kind of like frame of thinking. And it's like showing them what is possible to them, or just helping them to like elevate their own mindset through talking to someone that doesn't like, I was that person. So I thank you, Erica. Um, but I was that person who was like, I'll never like have my own house, or I can't provide for my kids. And like when I first got divorced, I was like, how the heck am I going to do this? And now I make like more than my ex-husband did, and he doesn't pay me anything. You know what I mean? Like I'm doing it without him, and it's awesome.
Maybe it,
But
maybe,
that was like a
can
lot of mindset work.
I,
Yeah, go
uh,
ahead.
can I share the word? Like, I feel like for you, you're like, what I see you doing inside of the Keller Williams world of what you do, but I feel like you help people with self-limiting beliefs. And I think it's like overcoming the doubt of the thing that they most want in the world that they think they might not be capable of achieving, worthy of achieving. So I feel like we kind of parallel, you and I, a lot, and what we're what our words are. But I feel like you are the safe space for a lot of people to come and to lay it out on the line, and it can, I struggle too in the same exact thing, Taryn, where you know, I am making that transition out of highlighting mostly my transactional career, and getting into the health and wellness world and helping to coach agents and coach entrepreneurs. But and it's hard because I don't want to necessarily give, you want to be there, have it very clear, right? However, I think that you can color your real estate, your vehicle, in a sense that it is helping you, just like how John kind of does with the Good Hustle podcast. Like he utilizes the podcast to talk about things that he's really passionate about, but he backs it by his real estate. So like, I think that there are things that you could pair that fulfill your need to serve in specific areas that would help to just kind of run alongside or be powered by your real estate business. And it might not necessarily stronghold you into single moms. It just might be somebody who's experiencing those limiting beliefs and feeling like they can't do these things, when in reality, sit down with me and I'm going to show you a path.
I like
Yeah.
that.
You
Thank
know? Yeah, you're welcome. I love you.
Love you.
There's a lot of mindset hurdles that just happen in real estate in general. Like people don't think they can upsize, or maybe what they need, like in my situation, was I needed to downsize because my house was like killing my mindset because it was draining me. So I definitely think that, you know, your brand around, like, I've been seeing you post a lot about just lifestyle. Like, are you living the lifestyle that you want to live? And could it be that you're just not living in the right place? Like, do you want to live downtown so you can walk everywhere? Like, we can make that happen. Or do you want to live on 10 acres because you want room to breathe and you want to have a farmette? You can make that happen. And then you would sprinkle in just mindset work throughout your social media. And it doesn't even have to tie to real estate. But then people will just start to think of Taryn as like this very positive person to work with, and they will be attracted to work with you when they have a real estate need because of the mindset work that you do. And then you'll attract other people like that. Oh, I love it. And this kind of like what you were saying, the caveman pitch. They also call it elevator speech. But once you really come up with who you once were in your avatar, the problem that you solve, and your uniqueness, you'll come up with your formula, which is I help blank overcome blank by showing up as blank. So some examples here were, I help real estate agents scale without the burnout. I help women leaders stuck in survival mode overcome fear by teaching them to live and lead with intention. So yours, you know, might be like, I help people who are limited by self-beliefs overcome their fear by showing up as whatever. Erica, what's your brand positioning statement?
Mine is, I help women gain financial wholeness.
I love that. Anybody else? Adrian, any thoughts?
Yeah, I help agents overcome obstacles to achieve their goals by showing up as a real estate coach and consultant. Specifically new to business agents.
You like those new to
I
business
love the
agents?
newbies. I love them.
I love that. So your challenge for today is I want you to share your story, because your story will help someone. I shared this with Erica once that I started sharing my story by accident. I wrote in bold, they used to have you not only write the letter to yourself with goals, but they also had you write like a letter, and you talked about like problems you were going through that you needed help overcoming, and like self-doubts, limiting beliefs. I wish I could remember the exercise, but I poured my heart out. I thought it was a journal entry that I was keeping. Sure enough, the coach walks around and he goes, "All right, I'm picking these up and I'm going to give them to your team leaders." Died. I died inside because I talked about my bankruptcy and my divorce, and I had shared that with no one. So I went through the entire interview with Dave Hook, and not once did I mention any of the struggles that I was going through. I was just, oh, I just want to be able to do more sales and make more money. La-ti-da. Heard you were great. So the next day I had like almost a panic attack, and I was like, I need to meet with you right now. And he was like, okay. So he goes into the conference room and he sits with me. And I was like, the letter that the coach picked up yesterday, and he said he was going to give it to you, I just want to get ahead of it because I think you might not want me on your team. And I shared that I thought that he was going to be embarrassed to have a real estate agent on his team who was going through bankruptcy and who had no money. I had like $10 in my bank account after I just drained my 401k to pay for my apartment for a couple of months while I was working up income. So I was legitimately like, oh, he's not going to want me. And in that moment, with Dave Hook's amazing leadership and grace, he was like, do you know how common bankruptcy is, Brittany? And he shared somebody that he knew that went through bankruptcy, who went through that little rough season, but now they own this big company selling all this stuff, and like their life is beautiful. And he just made it so normal for me in that moment. And then that was when he said, like, who could you help? Like, what clients could you help because they're in debt or because they're going through the same things? Now you just have the knowledge because you're going through it. And I was like, oh my gosh. So that was why I started sharing my story, was because of that one conversation with Dave. And then I started to realize there was a lot of people. Now they were hard transactions because I was helping people clean up their credit and putting them on budgets before they could buy, which is probably why my last year fully in sales was my best year, because it was all those people that finally cleaned up their credit and could make a move were coming to fruition. But sharing my story, I never realized how many people it could actually help, because I always thought it was like a brag. And I was never like, I don't like being center of attention. So I'm saying all that to say, I want to challenge you to start sharing your story, a moment where you struggled, the shift that helped you through it, and end with your one word. And here, you don't have to commit to the word. So just because you might use the word intention today, you get to go through this journey and you get to change it. So just because you write it down once doesn't mean it's set in stone. And just know your story is not for everybody, but it is for someone. And one of my favorite quotes from Rory is, we see millions of people chase followers without a plan, and they're all about the clicks and the views, and they want to go viral. Empty clicks won't move your voice forward, but the depth does. So the more real and authentic you are in your content, the more narrow the smaller population that you're trying to talk to and help, because you serve them at a deep level, it will naturally grow wide. So don't focus on wide. So if you post your story and only one person comments and you get 5 views, I don't want you to think that it sucked. That's not true. But you probably helped that one person that actually commented. And that means so much more than 1,000 people who just saw it, but then did nothing with it. Some additional resources. Really enjoyed Rory's book, Wealthy and Well Known. If you parallel the workbook that I'm going to give you with that book, I really think that you could go deep. I loved Brand Builders coaching, so that would take it up to the next level. Building a story brand, Taryn mentioned, that's a great one on how to write those captions in a way that your story comes out authentically and yet also does get you that engagement. Podcast, the Influential Personal Brand Podcast. Also, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Even if you're not a real estate agent, that podcast has a lot of great episodes around building your brand, your reputation, building a business with alignment. That QR code is a template, so you do have to go to File, Make Copy. But this is a shortened version of the workbook Erica and I have to go through with our brand builders coaches, or that I went through and that Erica's going through. And I got to tell you, it is not a one and done. I revisit this a couple times a year because I'm still playing with some of my verbiage and getting clearer and clearer on who my avatar is. It's a journey, not like a one and done. I also want to take time to promote our next Women's Mastermind. Extremely excited about it. But as I mentioned, this personal brand journey really is about getting to know yourself. And that's what Amber is going to help you do in her speech. It's really about how to lead authentically and allowing people that work with you to also be themselves authentically in their roles. And that level of authenticity is going to help you realize who you actually are, not the person that you're portraying, but the person that you actually are. So I think it honestly will tie hand in hand with how to build your personal brand as your authentic self. So I'm incredibly excited for her keynote. And then Erica and I are opening up with a live stream of her Coffee with E podcast where she'll be interviewing me. So I'm really excited. Our second speaker to be announced. Full transparency, ladies, I need ticket sales and sponsors, because when I get those secured, I feel safer booking that second speaker. I got to lead with revenue. So until I see some ticket sales coming in, I can't book that second speaker. That's just how it works in event planning like this. So get your tickets. If you want to come, don't wait, just secure them. Early bird pricing is through October 17th, as well as holiday gift packs. So if you want to do like a VIP client giveaway, you could buy 10 tickets at a very discounted price when you buy a pack of 10, and you could give them as gifts. And thank you for joining me. Any questions, comments?
Will you be able to share this recording? I missed the first half.
Yes. I don't think everybody on here comfortable with if I share the recording. I don't think anybody shared anything too personal, but if you don't want me to, please let me know, because I do want to just be respectful of everybody's conversations.
Hi, Sheetal. It's good to see you.
Good to see you guys too. How are you?
Hi, good.
Yes, thanks for hopping on when you can. Was this helpful?
Yes, it was nice. And the bowl letter, I just got it mail today from last year, bowl. So yeah, they're very impactful. Thank you for sharing your story.
Oh, Erica got her.
Oh, look at yours too. You got it too. Yay.
I love it. Well, congratulations for getting your bold letters. Hopefully it provides clarity. Even if you didn't hit your goal, that is clarity. Like it may have been too big. There is such thing. We always, what's the saying? You overestimate how much you can do in 1 year, but you underestimate how much you can do in 5. And the fact that some of that stuff for Taryn, like you're like, I don't even want that anymore. I think that's a good realization, that you realize I don't actually want these things. Let's go chase the things that I do want in life. So it's not bad. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. And I will hopefully see all of you at the next Zoom. They will be the last Thursday of the month. Drew Richmond is leading next, or the last one in October. And then we have Women's Mastermind in January.
Perfect. Thank you.